They travel at speeds pushing 200 miles per hour. The very best drivers in the world putting their lives on the line every week. It's time to get the lowdown on this week's contenders, plus a look at the key driver matchups. Right now on Gaughan Racin.
And welcome in, everybody, to the third studio now in the Racin lot. Jeff Motley, Brendan Gaughan, Gaughan Racing, the Grandview Lounge at the South Point. And, Jeff, we add the third because, of course, the beautiful Circa Casino just opened downtown.
It was. You and I were both there for the grand opening. And seeing you in a tuxedo with your hair combed, I almost didn't recognize you at first.
Don't tell anybody. Don't let anybody know that I can clean up. But now,
I told this guy when I saw him out there, it was the first time I'd seen his hair combed in 17 years when he won the West, or 18 years when he won the West Series championship and had to go to the banquet.
Yeah, it doesn't happen often. I brush it, but nobody sees it.
You jumped on the stage that night, I remember.
Yeah, I did. It was fun.
Yeah.
But once again, beautiful new studio. Congratulations to the Stevens brothers, Derek, Greg. Beautiful property. And there is a Racin studio over there. I believe we, for the Racin listeners, we've already had, I believe, Follow the Money was shot from there this morning. They had their first kind of, regular everyday show there. So
you and I will not be going over there. We
well, look,
here.
I think it's much easier if we continue at the South Point. I mean, I'm not saying we have a certain tie to this place, but, we might have a tie to this place. So, but we are fans. We are rooting for them. And the Sportsbook, if you haven't seen it, for those in the Las Vegas area or just look it up on the internet, stunning screens, amazing views, beautiful job. So,
yeah, absolutely.
We are here, though, on Gaughan Racing to do what we do best, which is talk. Because that's
talk
what we do.
Racing, I guess. We don't do a lot, not very well, but we try to do this. Yeah.
We talk our racing, and we will start off with the NASCAR side. Let's get news out of the way pretty quick. Then we'll get to how everything last week went. First piece of news is massive faux pas by Gibbs Racing. Martin Truex Jr. penalized 20 points.
Yeah, 20-point penalty. Crew chief got ejected at Texas. Didn't really seem to affect him.
Yeah, they
get a big fine. These guys pay fines all the time.
He probably would have paid to be able to go home for 3 days.
That 20-point penalty basically ensured that he has to win this week at Martinsville if he wants to advance to the Final Four. I think he would have had an opportunity to point his way in. He would have been 16 points out. 16 points below the cut line without that penalty. Now he's 36, and he's got to leap over two other guys that are in front of him, and Alex Bowman and Chase Elliott, not to mention the guy that's fourth right now, Brad Keselowski, or third place, Denny Hamlin. So Martin Truex Jr. is in a win-or-go-home situation now.
And that hurt bad because 16 points, Jeff, that's doable.
Yeah, I mean, you think about it. If you were to win the first stage, and the next guy in line doesn't finish in the top 10, then you just knocked it from 16 to 6, and you still got another stage and the final race to go. So then you're really only saying, I finished 2 or 3 spots in front of this guy in each of the next two stages.
We got a shot.
Then we got a shot.
Yeah. So that was devastating blow to Martin Truex. Although they're going to Martinsville, which he won earlier this year,
and he won the last race last fall. So in fact, he clinched his way in. So I think for Martin Truex Jr., he's got to have a lot of confidence going into Martinsville.
Huge mess up. I mean, that hurt, especially after finishing second at Texas to get himself in that position. That was I can't believe they take that risk right now.
Well, I was going to say, how does that happen? So you got 4 cars in that shop. You got Kyle Busch sitting in there. You got Denny Hamlin, who obviously did not want a 20-point penalty either. They're trying to follow the rules exactly. And you got Eric Jones sitting in there. But one team comes up with the illegal spoiler.
Jeff, I was listening to Larry McReynolds today on SiriusXM NASCAR radio, and he was being very polite, saying, somebody made a mistake. Whoa. There's no mistakes when it comes to these spoilers.
No, I understand it. But look, you're not going to slide that by anymore. With the equipment that they use to check
I beg to differ. I bet they had slid it by. This isn't that's where you're saying, you think this was the first week they decided to try to do that?
All right.
Do you think they said, hey, now's the time, let's do it? No.
I don't know. The risk is certainly not worth the reward.
They must think the juice was worth the squeeze because
he still finished second with the regular spoiler.
No,
and theoretically, his car was as fast as any car on the racetrack yesterday.
No, it's amusing to me. Second big piece of news: Kyle Larson, who a couple weeks ago we announced that NASCAR did reinstate him. He did follow all the guidelines. He's reinstated January. They finally announced the team, which that was another one of those worst kept secrets. It is the number 5, as you and I discussed a couple weeks ago. He will be at Hendrick Motorsports, number 5. I think, and Rick Hendrick made some very strong and great comments in announcing that Kyle Larson was back. Kyle has done a really brilliant job in his interviews. I listened to it once again, Morning Drive this morning with Pete and the Bagman. I really was impressed with Kyle. I've always liked Kyle. So first, I'm going to start with I've always liked Kyle. I've talked to him since he came in the sport. His mother, I made some jokes with his mother a couple years ago at California. She listened to my radio shows, and she liked that I was always picking him for certain things. But I like Kyle. He's a good kid. He made a mistake and has learned a lot, and I like how he's handling himself right now, Jeff. Really done a nice job.
And I think, me, the PR world is sort of my world.
That's your gig.
And I think Kyle Larson has won the PR battle. And now it's not over. Let's put it this way. He's won the first battle. It's a war, but he's won the first battle. And I think he's genuine.
That's the key. But see, that's the easy point. He is genuine. So you don't have to think it. To me, I know the young man. The easy battle here is he's winning it because it's genuine. And you can tell when we come in and do stuff for you, who's the one that's genuine and who's the one that's not.
No, you're exactly right. And look, I hope the best for him. And he's going to have a good opportunity. And I believe the way it's going to be set up over there is so the Alex Bowman team that is moving to the 48 is his team on the 88 now.
Yes.
And Kyle Larson will basically assume Jimmy Johnson's 48 team with the 5-car number. Everybody get that straight?
Yeah. So
Virginia Tech, Georgetown, we can't figure it out.
Listen, they're both going to be at Hendrick. It's a big place, a couple buildings. We're going to have a 24, we're going to have a 48, we're going to have a 5, and we're going to have the 20.
Big place, couple buildings. Sounds like a scene out of Airplane.
Yeah, big All right, let's get to what we do. Let's talk a little bit about last week at Texas.
Yesterday. It's very fresh on our mind.
Excuse me.
It's
Excuse
very
me.
fresh.
Let's talk about yesterday at Texas. How about that? And the 1 week, let me go back to picks from last week. Oh, the pick crew who has been picking Kyle against my bet the don't on Kyle.
Finally doesn't pick Kyle, and he comes in.
Who picked Kyle?
You picked him for a top 3.
The guy that says the don't all year. But I picked him for the top 3.
And you still ended up in negative numbers because you had to take that minus 170 pick on Kevin Harvick, by the way.
All right, so it was a bad move. But Kyle Busch ends up the winner, 16 straight years. That was a hell of a job, too.
He did. They made a good pit call in the middle of the race, but then he drove, and he had a good car. And he said he knew from the start of the race he had a really good car. He knew he had a car capable of winning. Those guys really deal with the aero situation, and with the qualifying the way it is now, he knew he wasn't going to be starting up in the top 10, at least not in the top 8 anyway. So he did have a good run, so I was very happy to see it for Kyle. And turns out, that is the first playoff race that has been won by a non-playoff driver since Matt Kenseth back in 2017. And yes, I said his name.
We got Matt Kenseth already.
Matt Kenseth in there. But no, Matt Kenseth in 2017 was the last non-playoff driver.
We talked about this. The caliber of driver that is out of the playoff. We've never seen the caliber of a Kyle Busch not be in the final 8. You know what I'm saying?
That's a good point.
We've been saying all along, the shot, when Kyle comes out of this slump, Kyle can win any week. So having him not in, it's kind of an asterisk to me that we had a non-playoff guy, but it was Kyle Busch who's still at the peak of his career.
So think about this. If his brother does not win in Las Vegas, Kyle
is still in the playoffs.
Kyle would be going to Phoenix with a chance to win the championship.
That is true. I didn't think about that.
I mean, really, because he would have been the guy that finished 8th.
Yeah.
So he would have advanced to this round.
Yeah.
And now he got his win at Texas. And so he and Joey Logano would be the 2 guys that would be. And so you're talking about guys being nervous, though. Woof.
Ifs and buts for candy nuts.
You're right.
All have a Merry Christmas. Going through what we got Martin Truex Jr. with plus 275 for a top 3. Kyle Busch plus 400 for the top 3. And
15 to 1 to win.
15 to 1 to win the race. 15 to 1 on Kyle Busch, and we didn't even we acted like that was nothing. And then Christopher Bell, 20 to 1 on a top 3. Great run by Christopher Bell. Hopefully for that team and that organization, a little foreshadowing of what's to come with Chris.
And what was this week? This was the week to bet Kevin Harvick on the don't.
Yeah.
He lost all 4 of his head-to-head matchups.
Every matchup he lost. That was kind of a bummer that I've decided to go that route.
And he was such a huge favorite in all of those.
And then the groups, Martin Truex won Group A. Kyle Busch, a plus 320. And you even talked about taking that. You even said last week, Kyle Busch plus 320 in Group B. Man, that's tough to pass up. And we did.
And we did.
Kurt Busch won Group C. Matty D. We did talk about that Matt DiBenedetto should have been the favorite, we thought, at plus 225 in Group D, and he did. Christopher Bell.
What a great run for Christopher Bell. He finishes third. He really had a chance to finish second.
He was fast, too.
He was very fast.
He was very fast.
In fact, if he could have gotten around Truex, he might have had something for Kyle.
And then Group F, Ryan Newman. And I believe we did. I was high. We both were high on Chris Bell. We thought Christopher Bell would be there, but Newman had a great run. Ended up winning Group D.
And unfortunately for poor Bubba, man, he took a hard hit and really not of his own making. I mean, he's minding his own business, and I don't know what happened to our boy Kenseth. But, I mean, he basically just looked like he stopped right in front of Denny Hamlin, and I don't know what happened there.
So we go on now to look into the last round. Hold on. This is Pete Pistoni's favorite word. The penultimate round.
Penultimate race.
The penultimate round.
Of the penultimate round.
That's right. The penultimate race of the penultimate.
Oh, the final race of the penultimate round.
Yeah,
Let's see if we can get
the penultimate round.
Pete, if you're listening, we got that. The final race of the penultimate round. See, Pete, listen to that. See, we got that all out in one sentence. It only took us 10 tries.
Or you could say the penultimate race of the penultimate round.
But it's not the penultimate race. It's a final race. See, the penultimate race was.
But it's the penultimate race of the championship. The penultimate race for the championship in the penultimate round of the championship.
Okay, there is it.
See? All right.
It's penultimate race for the championship. That's great. How many
show
times do we say penultimate?
I got to get my Georgetown skills in there just to prove a point to somebody that I had in education.
Send a copy of this to Mr. Pistoni so he knows we used his word of the day.
So much. So let's talk championship real quick. The odds, we're always talking about the futures, right? That's what we've been talking about the whole time. Who would be the favorite? What's the futures? Right now, Joey Logano still plus 350. I like that. They're basically right now, even though he's the only person locked in, they're still saying that at 350, they're guesstimating that he is the least favorite to win the championship. I like Joey Logano at plus 350. I think, and we're going to talk about this further, if you're looking for a great Kevin Harvick plus 140, he's been that way for weeks now. Denny is plus 350, though, now, which has shrunk, it has grown greatly in the last couple weeks, so that's impressive. Brad K plus 450. But now you get to some of the things I really think. I'm bummed because we talked to Alex Bowman, we thought really had a shot at Texas. Finished top 10, had a good race. But
ran top 5 a lot of the day.
And I don't see Martinsville being where he points his way in.
No, he has not had good success at Martinsville, and Bowman was pretty transparent this week. He had scheduled time in the simulator on Tuesday for Martinsville, and he is not going to be able to get in the simulator because there's no time available to get the simulator, which you'd think somebody would have given up their time in there for him, but apparently they're not. So he has said he will not get any simulator time prior to Martinsville.
These kids need simulator time.
Well, but it's
the way they do it now. It's the way they do it.
Well, and keep in mind, now that we don't have any practice or qualifying, it makes a difference, especially for a younger guy like Alex Bowman. It may not matter to Brad Keselowski or Kyle Busch, but it would matter to a guy like Alex Bowman.
But we're talking now, here's my 2 favorite odds of this whole deal. Kurt Busch, 100-1. Love you, Kurt. He's good. He's good there. He's in a winner, go home. But right now, the hottest guy at Martinsville, last 2 years, Martin Truex Jr. to win the championship, 14-1. Chase Elliott, 16-1, also extremely hot at Martinsville the last couple of years.
Yeah, he hasn't won at Martinsville, but I think he's only got 10 starts there. He's got like 3 top 5s and like 5 or 6 top 10s. So Chase has been very consistent there. Chase had a really good run going one year, and I think he and Denny Hamlin got together.
The famous Denny Hamlin deal.
But Chase has run well there.
9 races, 5 top 10s, 3 top 5s. A couple of those non-top 10s were extracurricular activities with other people.
He does. Which can happen at Martinsville.
Absolutely. 9, 7, 2, 36, and 5 in his last 5 starts. I like Chase there. If you're looking for the futures that we talk, you're looking for who to look at for the championship round, I'm going to stay focused on a Chase Elliott, Martin Truex. I think they both have a chance to make it, and I'm going to look at Joey Logano at a 350 because he's the only guy locked in, and Kevin Harvick. And that's a great number. I think that there's a really good shot for that.
Well, I don't think – look, I'm with you. We love Kurt. Kurt's not going to make it. Alex is not going to make it. They're not winning Martinsville. They're not going to make it. I wouldn't say that Truex or Elliott – I mean, Truex definitely can win Martinsville. I think Elliott can win Martinsville. And honestly, here's the weird thing. If Truex wins this race at Martinsville, now right now we're looking at the standings, and we've got Brad Keselowski's plus 25, and Denny Hamlin is plus 27.
So, that's 2 points, 25-27. That's key right now, what you're going to say.
What I'm saying is Martin Truex Jr. wins this race. Keselowski's on the outside, and Denny Hamlin is only two points to the good. Oh, and by the way, Kevin Harvick is only 17 points to the good.
I still think Kevin Harvick's good.
And Kevin Harvick does not run well at Martinsville.
Well, hold on. Once again, I would kill for his does not runs well stats.
But let's compare him to Brad Keselowski, Chase Elliott, Martin Truex Jr., Joey Logano.
But does not run well at Martinsville, has a average finish last 10 races of 11.3.
Okay, he has not won there in 9 years. He's only won once.
Once again,
I'm just saying.
The slumps that we talk about on this show, I got to point out that we're discussing that he's horrible at Martinsville with an average finish of 11.3.
Well, and I think what I'm trying to compare
and those points make a difference.
Here's my scenario. Is what I'm talking about. Truex wins this race. Keselowski and Hamlin have had far more success than Kevin Harvick has at Martinsville.
Yes.
And honestly, the only two guys that he is racing are Denny Hamlin and Brad Keselowski. He's not racing anybody else but those two guys if Truex goes out and dominates this race.
And that's what he has to pay attention to. But the point is, at 11 average finish, a 12 average finish, that's 17 points. That means they have to be second place, not win, and he's got to be 18th or further.
Correct.
So,
but we got the stages.
And understood. You got the stages and all, but at an average finish of 12, that makes it where
if he finishes 12th and Brad Keselowski finishes second, and Truex wins that race in every stage, Kevin Harvick is going home, unless Denny Hamlin has a bad race.
It's a long shot to me to give Kevin Harvick the I'm going home from points bid. Now, you and I talked about this just before we came on air. This is what's great about our sport. People love to say black helicopters and, all the conspiracies and all that stuff. This is what's great about our sport. We're talking about this. Kevin Harvick could go out there and on lap 3, hit the brake pedal, drive over a piece of debris, blow a right front tire, bend the front clip, and be out of the race at lap 3.
Which almost happened to Texas. I mean, he gets in the wall.
Very close at Texas.
Right.
So these are things what makes our sport so great. Now, the chaos that I talked about last week, do you remember I said I wanted to see chaos?
And Kyle Busch winning created a little bit of chaos, but not
as much.
Not as much.
Had Martin Truex
if he'd have
won that race,
we would have had chaos. You're right.
Now you're talking Denny Hamlin, Brad Keselowski, 2 points in and out. Kevin Harvick, 17 points.
But Kevin Harvick hitting the wall before the end of stage 1. There's a little bit of chaos.
But I was really hoping for that. I thought it'd be fun if you ended up with the two guys that we have said are locked in, being 2 points to the good and 17 points to the good.
Right. And one other thing we've got to bring up about Martinsville and the championship too is Keselowski and Martin Truex Jr. We have talked about how they are the two best guys at Martinsville. Where are they starting?
1-2.
1-2. Very important at a track like Martinsville because you can start catching the rear of the field in a hurry. People can go a lap down. And, if you haven't hit the setup, and keep in mind there's no practice, you can go back in a hurry too.
And that's the thing. At Martinsville, there's not that buffer area. They're going to have a competition caution like we've had all year before the stage break. At Martinsville, that competition caution is probably going to be lap 50 to 75.
Yeah, that's probably – you got a 500-lap race, so your stages are going to be 125, 125. So probably about maybe 50.
50. They'll probably have lap 50 a competition caution. If you miss that setup, 50 laps at Martinsville goes like that, and by the time they say green flag to the leader, 40th place says, hey, leader's coming out of turn 4. He's on your tail. That's how tight it is. So if you miss that setup and you start fading quick and you start getting on that outside edge and people start rooting you out, you can be in danger quickly. So to know that the two best guys could very well pull away from the field very quickly. Very quickly, yeah. That clean air, those two, if they don't battle real long and get 1-2 and start driving, they're going to pull the field quick and they're going to be back in that traffic quickly. And if somebody has a bad day, if Brad misses it or if Denny misses it or if Kevin misses it, they're going to be laps down early, and it could be a long day for them.
Well, one other different thing we're going to have with Martinsville. Now, I know you've raced there a bunch, but you haven't raced in this situation. This is going to be the first time ever that a Martinsville race has started in the daytime and ended at nighttime. They put lights up at Martinsville now. This race is probably, we turned the clocks on Saturday night. So about 4:45, I grew up in Martinsville. I'm going to tell you, about 4:45, 5 o'clock, it's going to be dark. That green flag's not falling until a little bit after 2 o'clock. And we're talking Eastern times right now. So it's going to be in nightfall probably for about the last 100 laps of that race. They have concrete turns, but they have the asphalt straightaways. What kind of effect do you think that may have? I mean, is it going to change the cars throughout the race?
Yeah, it will. The way these cars leave rubber nowadays, when we grew up watching these races, we marbled, right? You had everybody remembers the word marble. Now,
if you got out of the groove,
you had marbles.
You were heading into the wall. They call it marbles for a reason.
They leave these big patches and swatches of rubber down that actually get really greasy and slick. So you end up moving and straddling, and it's the heat that makes that get greasy and slick. Now you're going to leave that rubber, and it's going to be ice cold. I think it won't be greasy. I think it'll be slippery. I think that instead of it having a little traction and turn-us, it's probably going to get a little icy, so to speak, and it could be close to freezing temperatures, at Martinsville this time of year.
Yeah, it could be.
Already.
I haven't looked to see what the weather's going to be this weekend.
They had it at Texas, so I mean, goodness gracious.
I was going to say.
If they have it again, that could become a factor here with this being the first ever day-to-night race, and it's going to take smart crew chiefs to get to really battle their way through that. So that's something you're going to have to look at. And as a bettor, that will make a difference. Don't count your chickens in that first 2 stages, because as it darkens up, it will change.
Yeah, I think I'll be kind of curious to see, and I'm excited to see lights at Martinsville for a Cup race anyway. As a kid that grew up there, I always thought going to a night race would have been kind of cool. And Clay Earls never wanted lights. Thank goodness Clay Campbell does want lights.
Clay Campbell wanted them, so they got them. All right, guys, we've given you a little foreshadowing. When we come back, we're going to talk about the odds to win at Martinsville and more on Gaughan Racin'.
This is Gaughan Racin', the weekly NASCAR show that gets you ready for this week's big race and more. You can listen to VSiN on SiriusXM Channel 204. Watch us online at vsin.com and follow us on Twitter at VSiNLive. Welcome back to our weekly NASCAR show, live from the Sportsbook at the South Point Hotel and Casino in Las Vegas. Now, back to Gaughan Racin'.
Welcome back in, Gaughan Racin'. Brendan Gaughan, Jeff Motley, Gaughan Racin'. And we're going to dive back right in immediately to Martinsville Speedway, the penultimate race of the 2020 NASCAR Championship.
You got that word in again.
I like it. We're going to start right off with the odds, man. What we start with, Jeff, is the favorite, which I believe is arguably the correct move. Martin Truex Jr. plus 325. Denny Hamlin and Brad Keselowski at plus 550 each. Kyle Busch, Chase Elliott, and Joey Logano all at plus 850. Ryan Blaney plus 900. Kevin Harvick 10-1. Then we go to some of the longer, and a huge drop-off actually after that. Kevin Harvick 10-1. Alex Bowman, championship contender, Alex Bowman, 25-1. Championship contender Kurt Busch, 28-1. Then it drops again. Clint Boyer, William Byron, Jimmy Johnson.
Clint Boyer's a guy who was really good at Texas.
Dude, we didn't even talk about that. Clint Boyer.
And had obviously a fuel issue. But, he's won at Martinsville in the last 3 years.
He has won at Martinsville. He's very good at Martinsville. 33-1. That's a nice. If you think another non-playoff guy can win, there's Clint Boyer.
You remember that time that he made it 3 wide in turn 1 on the restart with Jeff and Jimmy, I think it was, and he's like, well, I figured 12 tires would grip
better. 12 tires better than 8. Eric Almirola, Matt DiBenedetto 60, Eric Jones 66, Austin Dillon, Tyler Reddick 80s, and Christopher Bell, Ryan Newman round out at 100-1. Jeff, look, we talked first time you said since what, 2016, 2017?
2017, a non-playoff driver won a race.
And that's Kyle Busch. I still think that deserves an asterisk that it's Kyle Busch that won, not, somebody. Eric Almirola didn't jump up there and win a race.
It was Matt Kenseth in 2017. He was pretty good back then.
Wow. Matt, that come from Jeff Motley, Las Vegas Motor Speedway.
This is not on Matt.
Buy tickets. So I'm looking at this, and I jump right off at, hey, wait a second. Brad Keselowski, plus 550. I don't normally talk about winning a race, but plus 550, Brad K., that's a nice number.
Well, I even think it's plus 325 on Truex is a nice number given what a favorite he is. I mean, I believe the win is going to come from those top 3.
Now, hold on. I don't. Let me tell you why.
You think Kyle Busch is going to win?
No. Joey Logano, plus 850. Look, Joey Logano, last 10 races.
He's sitting in a simulator, the Phoenix simulator right now.
I don't disagree. But remember, earlier this year, he led 234 laps in that race this year. And now, in the world of COVID, we haven't always had a race to fall back on to look at from earlier this season, but we do. Joey Logano finished fourth, first in Stage 1, third in Stage 2, 234 laps led. Martin Truex Jr., 132 laps led. So, I mean, Joey Logano, I understand what you're saying. But you're iterating then that he's phoning it in for Martinsville and waiting to get.
Well, I don't think racers ever phone it in. I mean, I think once you put the helmet on and the engine's fired, you want to win every race you're in.
But what I can tell you
is he doesn't have to race smart.
There's the point. At that point, you become, hey, I'm going to go for it, and if it doesn't work out, I'm not sweating it.
Right.
We're morons.
The only guy in the field who needs to race smart is Kevin Harvick.
Yes.
Because if you're Denny or Brad, you've got to go into the race assuming Truex is going to win. And that doesn't mean Mark Truex is going to win. I don't mean that.
But you go
have
thinking
to have the mentality of
worst case scenario.
Truex is going to win.
Yep.
So what do I have to do to make sure I'm in this championship deal? Because I think if you ask Keselowski and Hamlin, they'll tell you Harvick's in. And they know Logano's in. And they're going to say in their mind, Truex is in because he's going to win. So the two of us are going to figure out that last spot.
Well, and no matter what, you're taking worst-case scenario. Chase Elliott, Kurt Busch, or Martin Truex. You automatically go in saying one of these three guys is going to win this race.
Correct.
And so I have to worry. You race now. Not only are you racing in a 40-man race, and now you have an 8-man race in it. Now you really narrow that down to say I've got a 3-man horse race. Denny Hamlin, Brad Keselowski, Martin Truex Jr.
Kevin Harvick. They're the three, though, that would be in on points.
I'd look
racing
at this,
those other guys.
I'd look at this and say, I'm only worried about
Denny and Brad have to worry about each other.
That's it.
If you're Denny, you want to be in front of Brad no matter what. And Brad's starting on the pole.
And if you're Kevin, I'm just saying finish 11th and finish 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, and I'm making it. I'm good. I'm not going to risk 40.
Don't wear my brakes out.
That's right.
Don't get a fender in on my tire. Don't get my radiator knocked in, rear-ending somebody.
And Kevin Harvick is listed at 10-1. Now, Jeff, that's the longest odd I think we've seen on Kevin Harvick all year. And I'm going to look at that 10-1, and I'm going to look at the bettors and say, I don't like it.
I don't either.
I'm going to look at it and say, I don't see Kevin pushing that hard for the win. Rodney Childers and him, discretion, valor, right? I mean, be smart here. They could win it.
And
so
he's
I'm not saying
probably going to start 6th or 7th, so he's going to have a few cars in front of him.
But I'm going to say he's not going to put himself in a situation that he has to do something that risks the reward.
Right. If he's holding a guy up, he's going to let him go. He's not going to risk that guy trying to move him and pushing him up into the wall or things like that. I agree.
Well, when we come back, we'll get to the top three and our head-to-heads when we return on Gaughan Racin'.
This is Gaughan Racin', the weekly NASCAR show that gets you ready for this week's big race and more. You can listen to VSiN on SiriusXM Channel 204. Watch us online at vsin.com and follow us on Twitter at VSiNLive. Welcome back to our weekly NASCAR show, live from the Sportsbook at the South Point Hotel and Casino in Las Vegas. Now, back to Gaughan Racin'.
And welcome back in. Brendan Gaughan, Jeff Motley, Gaughan Racin', Grandview Lounge, South Point. And, Jeff, it's been a big week here at VSiN, the sports betting network. And we have some great news for everyone. Starting right now, you can watch every VSiN show for free on vsin.com all week long. Watch Follow the Money at 7 a.m. Eastern, a numbers game with Gil Alexander at 10 a.m., the Lombardi Line, My Guys in the Desert, and all of our full 14 hours of live daily sports betting programs. It's all free 24/7 on vsin.com this week. Didn't have Gaughan Racin' in that, Reed.
We're on Thursday. Come on.
And while we're there,
Gaughan Racin'.
Check out our 10-day free subscription trial to sample everything we have to offer, including the Daily Best Bets email and our Point Spread Weekly Betting Guide, which actually is really good. This is the perfect week to get more from VSiN, the sports betting network. Head to vsin.com now to start watching for free. Mr. Motley, I think we need to have a talk to our copywriters there. They got Lombardi, they got My Guys, we got the Point Spread Weekly, we got all the big things. We got big timed.
Yep.
We got big time.
Well, we've already been kicked out of the studio.
We are getting big time.
Maybe they're trying.
They've even got a second studio now at the Circuit, and we're over here in the third studio.
But the guy whose family owns the South Point can't do a show at the Circa.
I can too.
Well, you could, but
I think we should. You know why we should? Producer Ann, she lives like a mile and a half from here.
And we'd make her drive downtown and find a place to park. And well,
it'd be funny. Okay, let's get right into, we digress very quickly on this show every week. Let's get right into the DraftKings top threes. And lo and behold, once again, which we have not seen as often this year as other years, we do have somebody in the minus line on a top three. And that, of course, would be Martin Truex, minus 106.
Can I make a prediction?
The DraftKings has a 106, and I think it's odd.
I think it's odd that it's a minus 106. Martin Truex Jr. is going to bring home the checkered flag or maybe the steering wheel. He's either going to win this race or he's not going to finish in the top three.
Check his record.
Look, you remember that year that he and Logano raced, and he was a nice guy.
Oh, yeah, he ain't going to be a nice guy.
He will not be a nice guy.
He's not going to be a nice guy right now.
No way.
No.
He does not need any friends. As Kurt said, Kurt says, I've made enough friends in 20 years.
My friends are here with me.
Elbows out, baby.
Minus 106 for Martin. Denny Hamlin and Brad Keselowski at plus 155. Kyle Busch, Chase Elliott, and Joey Logano plus 240s. Ryan Blaney 250. Kevin Harvick 275. Alex Bowman 550. Kurt Busch 650. Then we get to our second half here. Clint Boyer, William Byron, Jimmy Johnson all at 700. Then we drop to some longer shots. Eric Almirola, Matty D at 12. Eric Jones 13. Austin Dillon and Tyler Reddick, the RCR teammates, there at 16. Christopher Bell, Ryan Newman 20s to 1. Look, there is some things I do like here. Once again, I'm going to go with I know you're saying Joey Logano and maybe he's going to run easy, but Joey Logano, really good there. But let's talk Kyle Busch for a second.
I like all three of those guys at plus 240 on the top three.
And that's right where I was heading. Kyle Busch plus 240. Kyle Busch, look, he won last weekend. We've been betting the don't line on Kyle all season. You know how I feel about momentum. Kyle Busch is a guy that he gets angry, and he wants to prove that now, everybody kind of wrong. And he is the best point getter in the last 10 races at Martinsville. Average finish of 5.6.
Yeah, I think that was a big load off his shoulders at Texas.
But I don't think it took the load off. He is bad.
Well, I don't think it ever takes the edge off Kyle. Kyle's a competitor.
Plus two. Hold on. We had Kyle Busch in the last 2 years. I think if you had 72 races last 2 years, Kyle Busch has been minus maybe 15% of the time.
That's probably true. But I think the hard part for this, you really look at those first 6 guys on the list, and you can make a really strong case for all 6 of those guys being in the top 3. But that's 6 drivers. That's 3 spots. Your math doesn't add up. You can't get them all in. So I think that's the hard part about trying to handicap. Now, I will not be shocked to see those 6 guys, 3 of them fill out those top 3 positions. I do believe that's going to happen.
So do I.
I think the hard part is which one.
Do you think, what about a Clint Boyer? We talked about him a second ago, about him winning here, how well he's done here. He was really good last weekend with a mistake by his pit crew.
Well, and Blaney has run well here. The Penske cars have been good here. So, Blaney's had some solid runs too.
4 top 5s in 9 races here at Martinsville for Ryan Blaney.
Yeah, so the Penske cars are strong here.
Last 3 races. I didn't think about Blaney. Once again, we kind of call him jokingly the opener, not the closer. But at Martinsville, he's done very well lately. And Clint Boyer, we talk about that win. He won 2 years ago here, 21st, 7th, 35th, 17th. I do like the Blaney, though, now that you'll say that. He's only plus 250, though. He's the only non-playoff guy that we have in this. And Kyle Busch, sorry.
Kyle Busch, yeah.
Kyle and Ryan are the ones that are getting the good odd for not being playoff guys. All right, let's get some of these head-to-heads because at Martinsville, I think head-to-heads are fun. And I'm going to jump right off the page. We start with Keselowski plus 135 to a Truex minus 155. That's about right. But I think there is a couple here that I do like. And one of them is, look, Joey Logano. I'm on the Joey Logano train right now. Plus 120 to Denny Hamlin's minus 140.
Yeah, I feel like I'm a copycat over here with you, but the plus lines on Joey Logano, especially against Hamlin's minus 140 and his plus 115 against Chase Elliott's minus 135, I do like Logano in those. I think those are strong. I'm not as high on Logano's plus 120 against his teammate Brad Keselowski, but I agree with you. I can see where Logano is very, very enticing on some of those.
And we've had one bet the opposite way. Started out with there's an Elliott minus 135, Logano plus 115, and it's lined up that way because it was the opposite way. The favorite was Joey Logano originally.
Yeah, a lot of money going there on Elliott there, and I think that's the people who don't believe Joey's got anything to race for.
And I don't disagree with that. But then would I take an Elliott even money versus a Hamlin minus 120?
Well, I think that's certainly a good opportunity. Speaking of the Denny Hamlin, if you want to bet the don't Denny Hamlin, we talked about Ryan Blaney, and Ryan Blaney's getting a plus 120 against Denny's minus 140. I think Ryan Blaney. Now, Denny, again, I mean, Denny's racing the 2-car.
Yep, that's
the first thing he's doing
Denny's
is he's racing the
2-car.
So that's to me, that's kind of the interesting one is the Keselowski Hamlin. And what are they? They're both at minus 110 in their head-to-head matchup because they truly are. I think those two, they've got to have the mentality that they're racing each other.
We talked, Denny Hamlin used to be the short track master, right? We always talk about Denny. He was good at Martinsville. He won there back in the day a bunch of times.
He's got 5 wins there, but he has not been as strong
It's been 7 years since he's won. His last 10 races, he got 7th, 12th, 2nd, 6th, 4th, and 24th earlier this year. This year, earlier, 24th.
They
abysmal.
But they had a problem in the car early in the race.
Abysmal.
No, but there was a problem with their. They did something wrong with the brakes early in the race.
He sucked.
But he did. He did. And what's interesting is that you've got Kyle Busch, who's had so much success at Martinsville. Martin Truex Jr., who's dominated really the last 2 races there, and honestly probably should have won more than that because he should have beaten Logano. Those guys coming out of the same camp.
All the same camp.
But Hamlin hasn't really run with them at Martinsville. But for most of this year, they've been looking up to Denny.
Yeah.
And everywhere else. So it's kind of odd.
So there's some fun ones there. Well, we ran our way through the top 3. DraftKings ran our way through some head-to-heads. When we come back, of course, we get to the group matchups, our picks, and we get to tell you who might have won the league last week. I don't care if it was negative. Who might have won? When we come back, more with Gaughan Racing.
This is Gaughan Racing, the weekly NASCAR show that gets you ready for this week's big race and more. You can listen to VSiN on SiriusXM Channel 204. Watch us online at vsin.com and follow us on Twitter at vsinlive. Welcome back to our weekly NASCAR show, live from the sportsbook at the South Point Hotel and Casino in Las Vegas. Now, back to Gaughan Racing.
Welcome back into Gaughan Racing, Grandview Lounge, South Point Casino. Jeff Motley, Brennan Gaughan. We flew past the penultimate segment of our show.
Yes, we did. Did we get that word in on all 4 segments?
I think we have.
Okay.
So we flew past that one. Now we are on to the final segment, which is when we talk about our group matchups, which, of course, we always feel is one of the most fun things we have anyway. And let's go right into it. We got Group A. No surprise here. Martin Truex Jr. plus 170, Brad Keselowski, Denny Hamlin plus 320, and Kyle Busch been back in Group A, bet down to 315.
No surprise that Truex is a favorite, but I'm maybe a little bit surprised at how big the numbers are on Brad, Denny, and Kyle. I mean, I do think Martin's an overwhelming favorite, but
that's an overwhelming number right there.
Yeah, I think those are some pretty good numbers on guys that we know are certainly capable of winning this race.
No, I do like it. I would look, you could bet Martin to win the race at plus 325 and then get a Brad Keselowski at 320 to win the group, and you've hedged pretty nice there. You've got a decent return on both guys.
Absolutely.
So there is a way to work that number and get yourself a decent little hedge out of that. Group B, Joey Logano plus 265, who started as the favorite. Wow, this group has gotten all jumbled. So Joey Logano started as the favorite plus 265. Chase Elliott now the favorite, 220. Ryan Blaney, co-favorite, 245. And Kevin Harvick plus 375.
No respect for the point leader.
Kevin Harvick at 375. We have Kevin Harvick almost as a minus to win a race a couple weeks ago. Now he's in Group B at plus 375. Is it worth jumping on Harvick for plus 375?
Well, I thought it was worth jumping on Stenhouse for plus 510 last week, and where did that get me? Christopher Bell was in the same one and almost won the race. So,
well, I mean, hey.
I don't see Harvick beating all 3 of those guys. Harvick's not. I don't see Harvick winning this race. But again, though, I mean, it's hard to underestimate Kevin Harvick. I mean,
it's Kevin Harvick. I mean,
he has been the strongest guy all year long. It's just Martinsville has not been his cup of tea.
Yeah, but plus 375.
It's a good number.
I thought, look at that go, man, that's a hell of a number. All right, Group C, Alex Bowman plus 210, William Byron plus 240, and then co-underdogs here, Jimmy Johnson and Kurt Busch plus 325. It's the Kings. I can't say the King. That's Richard Petty. It's the who probably the greatest racetrack. If you were to name the greatest racetrack in Jimmy Johnson's career, you would argue between Dover, Delaware, and Martinsville, Virginia. So plus 325, does that give you does that pull a heartstring on Jimmy Johnson plus 325?
Well, I will tell you, plus 325 pulls at me, but for both Jimmy and Kurt. Because, Martinsville, man, Chase Elliott and Ryan Blaney have done well the last few years there. But you look at the guys who have won at Martinsville, Truex and Logano and Keselowski and Boyer and Hamlin and Kyle Busch. Veterans run really, really well. I'm not convinced that Bowman or Byron are going to be factors in this race. I like Kurt and Jimmy both there.
Look at Bowman Byron. I haven't done enough homework on Bowman Byron, so I'm going to look that up real quick.
I like the old guys there. I like Kurt and Jimmy.
I like the old guys
over the young guys.
No top 10, 2 top 10s for Alex Bowman, 6 starts, and William Byron has got 6 starts. Whoa, 5 starts, 1 top 5. William Byron, hold on here. Well,
okay.
2nd and 8th last 2 races for William Byron.
2nd at Martinsville?
2nd last year this race, and 8th.
Wouldn't have picked that. Still, I like the old guys.
I don't know, William Byron, that makes me lean a little towards William Byron in that group, but we'll see. Group D, let's go right in. Once again, this has been fun because the odds only opened up last night, of course, with Texas, being so late, and the odds are getting jumbled up quickly here. Ryan Newman started as the favorite. Now he is the underdog, plus 270. Austin Dillon, Tyler Reddick at plus 265, the teammates. And Christopher Bell after that 3rd-place run, plus 270. You jumping on the Christopher Bell bandwagon after a 3rd-place run, or?
I'm probably staying away from that group because it's so evenly matched. It's kind of funny. I almost go the other way on this one. I kind of like the younger guys a little bit in this one because I like the fact that Bell has momentum. I like the fact that Reddick used to run so well in a truck there when they had the truck series.
One race make momentum for Bell?
It certainly gives him some confidence.
Okay.
I don't necessarily know if you want to call it momentum, but it's certainly confidence.
Gains confidence. Okay.
You got to believe he's more excited to get to the racetrack this week than he might have been last week.
He's just excited to get out of Texas.
Well, that's true.
I think they all take up residency.
Did you see DiBenedetto's tweet?
No, what did he say?
He said, "I'm now living in Texas. My address is a 2020 silver Ford Focus. Yeah. Send my mail to Texas Motor Speedway."
They all had to take up residency. Eddie Gossage has a bunch of people saying, "Hey, you're going to have to." Send our mail to us.
Eddie did tweet him back and say, "Where were you? You missed the staff meeting this morning."
That's funny. Good job, Eddie. All right, Group E. Matt Kenseth, Chris Buescher, and Cole Custer all at plus 255. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. plus 310. We can give your gratuitous Matt Kenseth pick right here and say that Matt Kenseth is still in the top 15 point getter in the last 10 races.
You picking him?
I just listen.
I asked a question. You picking him?
I didn't say I was picking him. I'm just saying.
Come on.
If I'm looking at that group,
don't be a politician.
Cole Custer has faded to me lately. We have not heard a lot of Cole Custer talk, and I right there would look at Chris Buescher, even though we're high on him when he's in Group F, and he hasn't won for us lately in Group F, but I still think I'm high on him. I think the last time we saw him at Martinsville, besides COVID this year, was that the famous one where he just firewall deep to old Joey?
Oh, Kansas. Well, that was what, about 4 or 5 years ago?
I don't know if that was his last year or not, but
yeah, I don't remember either.
That still goes down as one of the most amazing moves.
Well, Joey had gotten him at Kansas.
Yeah, no, I just that was very un-Matt Kenseth move.
Yeah, it was.
We haven't talked about that in a long time. We should. It was a long time ago. Group F, our Ron Flatter group, which is not the Chris Buescher Ron Flatter group. Love you, Ron. Miss you. Michael McDowell plus 230. John Hunter Nemechek and Ty Dillon at 260. And Ryan Preece plus 335. You can make an argument for Preece there, I think.
I'm making an argument for Preece. I like the high number. He's he's proven himself to be a pretty good short track racer. I mean, he certainly was in the modifieds.
Oh, he has been everywhere he's gone. It's been a rough season for him this year.
I think what I like about Preece more than anything is I think that it's hard to pick between those 4 guys. So if one guy's getting a plus 335 and the favorite's getting a plus 230,
you'll just take the big odds.
Take the long shot, better chance to win.
That's a good. I don't disagree with that statement. John Hunter has faded too lately. He did so well early in the season. He was our great surprise Rookie of the Year contender start the year. I think he won 2 or 3 of the first 4 races as Rookie of the Year. It was like, hey, way to go. Faded kind of down the stretch, but.
And then you got Ty, who he's only, we don't know what's happening with Ty going forward.
That's a conundrum. I will give you a stat for Michael McDowell, though. Michael McDowell at the short tracks. Michael McDowell, great road racer. We always talk about it. Think of the teams McDowell's been on, right? 18th, 19th, 21st, 14th, 23rd. Runs.
If he gets a top 15 in this race, he'll win that group.
He'll win that group. If he gets top 20, I think he'll win that group.
Maybe.
So, all right, we got the group matchups done. Now we get to go to our picks, and we will do a quick recap of
And it's quick because we made 15
so we have 15
picks.
picks.
And we got one right.
I got the one, baby.
So I don't know why you guys are listening to us.
Yeah, exactly. So listen, we like to play devil's advocate a lot, so we do pick our picks. And here's the worst. I pick, and I think you're going to see that this week, my heart may be making a pick for me again.
Well, the fact, though, that you got a 4-point pick last week and still ended up in the negative numbers is really hard when you only have 5 picks.
I'm still up for the year, I'm just saying. I've had a couple big ones.
But
I've been joking all year about betting the don't on Kyle Busch. And what do? I take Kyle Busch for the top 3.
You bet
the do, and Kyle Busch got it for me. So that was impressive. But we will start with, since it was co-losers last week, I believe we will just.
I guess I have to go first because I was the loser to them the previous week. So, okay. I'm not going out on a limb here, but I do like the plus 325. I'm going Truex to win. I'm going Logano with that top 3, plus 240. I think Joey will be hanging around. And I'm also sticking with Joey in Group B, plus 265. The fact that a lot of money going on Elliott and Blaney, and Joey's numbers have gone up, I like that plus 265. And I am going to go Kurt Busch in Group C. Really tough between him and Jimmy. I really do think I think I could see them finishing like 7th and 8th. Would not surprise me. And then last one, going into Group F, I'm going to take Ryan Preece at that plus 335.
All right. I can't disagree with a lot of those. I do like them. I will read you the mighty Ann and her pit crew picks this week. She is going right to group matchups. She is dominating group matchups today, Mr. Motley. She is jumping in Group A with a Kyle Busch. Apparently, she cannot leave that Kyle Busch plus 315 on the table. Group B, she's got Kevin Harvick. Same thing we talked about, plus 375 on Harvick. How many times do you get Kevin Harvick?
Big numbers.
It's a 4-man horse race, and you got a plus 325 on him, 375 on him. That's too hard to pass up. Group C, Alex Bowman. Okay.
Did not go for the 300 on that one.
I don't know if I would have made a William Byron argument before I would have made an Alex Bowman. Group D, she's going with Austin Dillon. She's jumping on the AD3 bandwagon. And then she's going top 3, Ryan Blaney. She did listen to us a little bit on that. We do like Blaney in that top 3. Then I guess the winner from last week gets to go last.
Go ahead. I'm not going to say anything.
I didn't get my Talladega week, so I'm still kind of basking in that one. Martin Truex Jr. to win the race. I don't do it often, but a plus 325 for the guy that's won the last 2 races. I'm sorry, that's a great number right there, plus 325. Kyle Busch and Chase Elliott as top 3s. I mean, 240, 240.
I guess we know who you think's going to finish the whole top 3 then.
There you go. Then I'm going to go into the group matchups, and I'm going to start with Group F. Michael McDowell, plus 230. I like what he does on short tracks. I do like him just as a...
You're taking me on head. My Ryan Preece pick head on there.
And I'm going to take you head-to-head another one, but this is one of those where I'm going to say that this is a heart bet. I'm going with Jimmy Johnson plus 325. You know, the history of Jimmy at Martinsville. This is his last one, and I'm hoping for a little Jimmy Johnson rekindle magic. Get me a Group C, and that'll rekindle enough.
And it would be a feel-good story to see Jimmy.
I'd love to see him win. I just wanted to win that group, but I would love to see him to win overall in his last season. But it's getting a little tough now.
Yeah, tough week last week at Texas, or yesterday at Texas.
We keep saying last week.
Still keep saying last week. It was yesterday.
Well, there is our recap of yesterday's race at Texas Motor Speedway, and we are foreshadowing of Martinsville. Hopefully we do well. We will know who the champion is this week.
We'll know the championship
four this week, so exciting coming down to Phoenix. Mr. Motley, anything fun at Vegas Motor Speedway right now?
We get NHRA this weekend. The Big Drags, first fan event in Nevada since the pandemic this weekend.
644-4444.
You
got I know that number off the top of my head. Thanks, guys. See you next week when we break down Martinsville and talk about the championship race at Phoenix.
This is Gaughan Racin, the weekly NASCAR show that gets you ready for this week's big race and more. You can listen to VSiN on SiriusXM Channel 204. Watch us online at vsin.com and follow us on Twitter @VSiNLive.